Welcome back. It's been a minute. It has been a minute.
Yep.
We have our numbers guy back. Not to fear. The real Dave is back. Cinco de Devo.
He was great.
He was great. He stopped in. He was in town.
I heard good things.
Out. Well, we got the most views we've ever gotten in a video. That's not your fault. I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm just saying he's really good.
Sometimes someone's just better than you. There's nothing you can do.
Someone's just better than you. No, just joking. But we are excited to be back because it's happening.
I like
That's
it.
a little celebration. FPL prices.
We're live.
Finally here. That is going to hurt people's ear. Oh my god.
Good. Going to catch your attention.
FPL prices.
Let me walk in on the video.
FPL prices. They're finally finally out. That was our celebration. But sadly, we're not going to be talking about our mock drafts yet. Now that the prices are out, that is going to be saved for next week. Next week, we are going to put our first mock draft out. I know that's what a lot of content creators are doing. We get together once a week, so it takes us a little more time, but it's going to be great. So stay tuned for that.
There's other reasons. We're not content creators.
We also like to think.
We're a show. We're just not going to put 600 drafts out there, mock drafts out there, and be like, oh yeah.
No slight to anyone else out there. But we're doing we do it a little different. We do it a little different here. A little different here. Okay. Before we go any further, before we talk about anything else, a little bit of housekeeping because it's been a while. First, the Patreon that we have mentioned a few times, it is now live. The link is in the description of the YouTube video. If you are interested in the Patreon, what you will get is our weekly top 10 ratings for each position. So that's 40 rankings. You'll get direct access to our Discord channel to join the Fire Tribe community, talk with us, talk with other people. You will get our weekly top 10, so the players that we feel are going to be the 10 best for each position for the week. You'll get our sleeper picks / differentials, the guys that we think are going to be, give you that slight edge each week, and then you will get any articles that we come up with, related to players, teams, strategies, right? We put those out on a regular basis, and there will be more to come as the season goes on. So
much more.
So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check it out. We would really appreciate it. And we are excited for you to join. Anything else on the Patreon? Anyone have anything else on that before I keep going?
Well, if they join it, they get in our league.
Oh, I'm getting there.
Oh.
I'm getting there. So
you know what
the gun.
Dave didn't do? He didn't jump the gun.
He didn't talk over me. No, I'm kidding. Second, to Dave's point, the official Fire Tribe Mini League, first year of the Mini League. We are ready to get that going. We've mentioned it a little in the past, but now we're really going to start pushing it. Was only a few weeks to go until the season starts. So what is the Mini League? It is a league which is just normal, where I know
it is a league.
It's there's not a lot to explain to do. It's just winner take all. If you're first, it's just most points. No other rules there. It's most points wins. Winner take all. Cash prize of $200 to be paid out with whatever your favorite Cash App is. If that's PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, whatever it is, you will be paid.
Check.
With that check. Probably not, but if you really want to check, we can probably make that happen. How do you get in the mini league? That is the question. There are two distinct ways. Dave alluded to the first one. That is if you join the Patreon. You have an automatic bid into the mini league. If you join the Patreon and you go to our Discord and you drop the email that you use to get into FPL, we will automatically put you in the mini league. So that's the guaranteed way to get in. The second way to get in, if you are a member of one of our social media pages, Instagram, X, TikTok, direct message us and drop your email the same way. We will put you into a raffle, and that raffle will be randomly selected right before the season starts, and that's another way you can get in. Do not do that on YouTube. We don't want you putting your emails into a public space, but if you message us directly on one of our socials. That's another way to get in. But you have to be following us, right? So
Correct.
If you're following us on one of those and you send us a message, you'll get put in. It'll be random. We don't know how many people we're going to put in this mini league yet. It kind of depends on the popularity.
Maybe it'll
people
be
who
all.
want in.
If we get more people subscribing to the Patreon, then we'll put in more. What do you call it? The random draw. There'll be more from that.
I think the more people in the Patreon, the less people that are going to be randomly drawn, because we're not going to have a massive league, right? We're going to keep it to a solid number. So if people are in the Patreon, they're automatically in. That means if you don't want to be in the Patreon, you have less of a chance to get in from that selection, because less people will be selected that way. Does that make sense? Did I say that correctly? That makes sense to everyone? Don't worry. We're going to continue to mention this up until the season. So keep coming back. Keep listening.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, it'll get a little more streamlined. Maybe. So that is that. Housekeeping done.
Well done.
How are you two doing?
Good.
Dave,
Better now.
Good.
Dave, how are you doing? You were gone. Where were you at? I actually forget.
I was in Raleigh.
That's right.
For a work event for like 3 days. So ate a bunch of.
This isn't your job?
I mean,
This isn't full time for you?
this is my secondary job. I was there for 3 days.
What?
If you guys start subscribing to the Patreon, it might become full.
This is Dave's full time job. That other job's just a gig on the side.
And then went to Vero Beach with some of our friends for a few days, straight from Raleigh. So ate lots of Southern food, lots of adult beverages, probably gained like 10 pounds.
Did you golf?
Heck yeah.
Did not golf, unfortunately.
Should have been golfing. You need it. You need that practice.
I do.
Phil, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Nothing much.
Okay, nothing to say there. I
Nope.
love that. Well then.
Just missed Cinco de Devo, but
Just missed
Can't
Cinco de
get-
Devo. All right.
beggars can't be choosers.
All right. It's time. It's time to get into the stuff that we came here for, which is the new changes to FPL. There's a lot of them, actually. There is a lot of them. But I want to start.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another.
I don't want to hear that. I got to check something. Listen, I got to give. Do you remember the name of the person who gave us a nice little comment on a YouTube video? Do you remember that name?
The person that wanted to see our opinions on it. Was it FPL Battleground?
FPL Battleground. Thank you, Dave. FPL Battleground. I want to give him a shout out.
I hope we're not just like.
I'm pretty sure it's FPL Battleground. If it's not, I will call you out in the next episode. But thank you for commenting on our video. He wanted to see us talk about the new defensive changes, so that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do. But before that, we're going to start with some of the smaller changes. Let's just get right in. 2 sets of chips. First change to talk about. You now will have 8 chips throughout the season. 4 in the first half, 4 in the second half. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a pretty big change.
Pretty massive change.
I think it will obviously, like, when the double game weeks and blanks like start happening in the second half of the season.
Yes.
Like, you're still going to target those, but I feel like it'll introduce more strategy, especially in the first half of the year, on when you play like your bench boost, your free hit, your triple captain. So it introduces like another layer of strategy, because you're not just going to be waiting for the double game weeks to use it, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of thought that same way. With no double game weeks, blank game weeks, it's like, I guess there's more strategy, but it's also in a way less strategy, because now you kind of have 4 get out of frail G cards. Get out of jail free cards in the first half of the season that you didn't have before. So, I mean, everyone gets them, so it all evens out in the end. Just seems like they're kind of making things a little easier for everyone, and maybe that's what they want. They want to bring more people into the game. Understandable.
What are you guys' thoughts on bench boost in game week 1? Because bench boosts are a headache.
I don't hate it.
But I don't want to bench boost if I don't know yet, like, if my players are going to play.
Well, that's why you bench boost.
But if my bench players aren't going to play and I don't know that, like, why would I wait till week 2 and I know that they're going to play and then bench boost?
You could.
I feel like I don't know anything game week 1. That seems like a weird time to use that.
Well, I think you would have to just set up your team with guys that you are pretty darn sure are going to play, and like build yourself a well-rounded team to start the year. Yep. I guess.
I guess it's. Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I hate it.
There's a lot of noise about it.
As of right now, I don't think it's what I'm gonna do, but
it's because it's dumb.
I get it.
It's because it's dumb.
All right, Sean. Well, now you know how Sean feels.
I'm coming out firing.
Sean's dad brain is taking over.
All right, never mind.
I know. I'm just kidding, Phil. I don't like it, but I do. I see what you're saying. I understand the strategy,
the appeal
behind it. The appeal, yes. All right. Next, Elite Global Leagues. Don't need to talk a lot about this. If you finished top 10% last year, you can be in the one of the Elite Global Leagues. If you finish top 1%, you can be in the other Elite Global League. That's going forward. So this year doesn't change anything for people, I don't think. But if you are one of those people, congrats. Enjoy that. We'll be with you next year. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Love it. Love
that's
the confidence,
all on
Sean.
that one. That's a pretty straightforward one. Assist rules. This one's a little slightly more complicated.
Finally.
So, yeah, honestly, finally. So the most significant change here is the intended destination. Players will now be awarded an assist even if the pass or cross does not find that person, right? So if someone intends on a ball getting their guy in the middle on a cross and it gets deflected by the defender and they still score, the assist counts, right? Yeah. So I'll let you guys, good rule, bad rule, what do you think?
No, I think it's a great rule, especially because last year there was too much gray area, basically where the same play was being evaluated differently. So even on some deflected plays, people were getting the assists, and on other deflected plays, they weren't. So there was just too much gray area and too much room for, user error, imagination. So I think it's good that they locked down one specific kind of outcome and eliminated most of the gray area.
Now,
I don't know. Yeah, I totally agree with what Phil said. I don't know if it changes your approach all that much.
No, you can't predict
it. Guys that get lots of crosses,
Anthony Robinson maybe is the guy you think about more.
But I don't think it's changing your opinion all that much. But probably see a few more assists this year, I guess.
I think it's more of they listen to the community, and it's just a positive change that, to your point, it's not going to change how you draft and who you draft. I think it's just a nice to have, and everyone's going to be a little happier about it. Or should be.
And just to button that up, the way it fully works is if the goal scorer receives the ball inside of the penalty box, that's how you're going to get that assist. If it's outside of the penalty box, the old rule will still apply. There has to be only one defensive touch before the ball gets to the player. If there is multiple touches, it is not an assist. No fantasy assist awarded if the defensive touch is a pass. For example, if you give it to a defender and he gets it and passes it back, and it's given away, that's not an assist. It has to be a deflection. It can't be an intended pass from the defender. Only defensive error that can negate an assist is a defending player attempted to pass. Like I said, I'm kind of reading these just because there's a lot. I mean, it's hard to keep them all in your head. So, and then finally, player can earn a fantasy assist if they win a penalty or free kick by making the last attacking action or touch prior to a handball being awarded. So that is a new one. Yeah, so that is a new one as well. So again, we're not going to go too deep on that. It doesn't really affect strategy. Nope. It's just a nice to have. They listen to the community, like you said, Phil. That was a good play on them. Fun fact, it would have been 41 extra fantasy assists awarded throughout the season last year had this rule been
in total across the whole league.
So next, another small one, custom badges. Just another thing the league listened to. They're giving you the option to create your own badge, your own crest, and put it in for your team.
I'm going to spend way too much time on that.
It's glitchy. It's glitchy right now, so maybe give it a few days because you get to the end, try to save it, and it just crashes. So just chill out, start using your imagination, and come back to it in a few weeks.
Okay. Next,
back to you, Fireside John.
Next, there were some updates to bonus points. We're not going to dive into these too deep. The bonus point system, it is fairly complicated. I almost feel like you can do 20 minutes on just talking about that. They made some changes, quality of life changes. I think for the most part they're good. A lot of them related to goalie saves, goalie clearances.
The penalty one to me is the big one because forwards would get 24 points towards the BPS if they scored a penalty. This year, if anyone scores a penalty, it's just 12. Midfielders got 18 last year towards the BPS. So
quality of life, right?
If you score a penalty, it didn't guarantee that your forward was going to get a bonus, at least a bonus point, but it's a little bit less weight on it now, I guess. So that's probably the biggest one, I think.
Yeah, again, it's quality of life stuff. They're seeing, they're seeing what works. They're seeing what people are saying, and they're listening. So I mean, all the credit in the world to them.
Quality of life stuff. I like that.
Quality of life. Next, just briefly, position changes. There's a handful of players who had changes. Those were, and we'll pick the ones that we think are important here. But Miles Lewis Skelly from defender to midfielder. Keane Lewis Potter from defender to midfielder. Nadai, midfielder to forward. Sessegnon, midfielder to defender. I think that's a bad one. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me there. I think Sessegnon getting moved back to defender hurts him. I would rather him be a midfielder. I mean, he's not a super relevant player, but at the end of the season last year, he was decent, but he now loses that opportunity.
Well, just because like the clean sheet stuff?
Yes.
So he'll get penalized more if they don't keep one?
Yes. And Tottenham's not very good on defense. So, well, they weren't good on defense last year, but, I don't know. That's I don't know if he's too important. He's not.
Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham. What did I say?
He did used to play for Spurs, but he did. But
yeah,
Fulham.
Sorry.
I
have it right here.
Hey, that may be a conversation for the mock draft.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These are not we don't want to get too deep. We just, surface level stuff here. Cody Gakpo from a midfielder to a forward. Omar Marmoush, midfielder to forward. That's an interesting one.
Those ones are the other way. They're both midfielders now. Yeah.
Cody Gakpo, forward to midfielder. Marmoush, forward to midfielder.
Makes sense for both of them.
Yes.
I don't know for Gakpo, but I think there's a fine line there. But anyway, it's not that big of a deal. I think he plays too far up to be midfielder.
Matheus Nunes, midfield to defender. Nico O'Reilly, midfielder to defender. Matheus Cunha.
Big one.
Forward to midfielder.
That is a massive one, I think. I think that's massive because the thing you always want is a player who plays up front but gets the chance at the midfield points, especially now with these new defensive contribution points. You have even more of an opportunity because he's playing. I guess it doesn't really affect because they kind of get put together, defensive contributions, we'll get to that, but they kind of the midfielders and forwards get the same way. It works the same for them.
Well, he gets the extra point for goals now.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's nice. I like it. It's good for him.
Yeah, I think it's good. This is the biggest one that I think is very, very bad for him. Jared Bowen.
Very bad.
I think it's very bad. Jared Bowen went from a midfielder to a forward. I just think a lot of the reason he was relevant was, he had a good end of the season, fair enough, but being in that position, like he had what you wanted, right? He was a midfielder, he was playing forward.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Now he no longer gets that opportunity. He's on a bad team still. I think that's a massive downgrade for him. I think that's the biggest downgrade of everyone.
I would agree. It's probably the biggest downgrade of them all. But it's not something that would deter me from taking him.
It actually does deter me from taking him on top of the value. Yeah, I think the value as well, but that's what will deter me. And then Rodrigo Gomez from a midfielder to a defender.
All right, then.
Those, and honestly, I think I messed a couple up. I think they all were flipped, so I probably messed some of those up at the start. But hey, listen, if you want to know what they are, they're out there on the internet. Go find them. It is what it is. Dad brain. That's my excuse. Still don't have a visual for it. I'll get one, but dad brain.
All right, now should we get into the anger?
Yeah, okay. Now that I've ripped through those way too fast, let's get into AFCON.
The African Cup of Nations.
The African Cup of Nation. Extra AFCON transfers. What is that? You got from me?
I apologize to the viewers.
Hey, try reading all this stuff. Try keeping it in mind. Let's see you do it.
I'm engaging with the viewers. You worry about the AFCON stuff. I'm talking to them in silence right now. I'm not interrupting.
Leave Phil to his devices.
You're silently interrupting.
I'm just apologizing to them for that chaos.
It was a little bit of chaos, but that's dad brain for you.
So why are we mad? When does all this happen, Sean?
Extra AFCON transfers. Managers in fantasy will be given extra free transfers in game week 16 to help plan around this season's Africa Cup of Nations. Those matches can cover week 17 to 22, the AFCON Cup matches. So your total number of free transfers in fantasy will be topped up to the maximum possible number of 5 in game week 16. Max is 5. Doesn't matter how much you had before that coming in. The max is 5, so just off the bat, the strategy should be leading up to it, continue to use your free transfers because you want to get the max number. Don't have a bunch of transfers sitting there because then you're just going to lose out on the extras that they're going to give you. Dave, go ahead. I know you have some opinions here.
I think like I've read a lot of things on the internet and people are upset. And I don't like it either.
I don't like it.
I think it takes a big chunk of the strategy out of it because, that's something you have to plan around. And like planning things is kind of the crux of FPL. So like rather than drone on about how much I don't like it, which I think a lot of people are on the same page, I was trying to think about like a positive to this. Like how could this introduce an extra piece of strategy? I struggled to come up with a good answer, but my thought was, there's a handful of guys that you're probably going to have on your team, like Salah and Bumo, Marmoush, so my thought was, all right, what if I have one guy or no guys playing in the African Cup of Nations and I just get handed 5 transfers? I could use that more effectively rather than the people that, have to get rid of 2, 3, 4 guys and then try to bring them back if you have like Mo Salah.
It's almost an extra wild card.
Yes. And it's funny you say that because
3.
I was like, maybe this is a way to kind of game it, but then you realize we get your second wild card like 3 weeks later.
It's just too much.
So, I guess it would benefit you for those, next couple of weeks if you don't have any guys playing in AFCON. You have some more flexibility until everybody gets their wild card again. If there was no second wild card, I think that would be cool.
I mean,
like having the AFCON transfers function as sort of like the second mini wild card.
I think AFCON should have to change their date to appeal to FPL. I think that's how it should work.
Yeah.
Their tournament should have to change when they do it because FPL, is greater.
Yeah,
than,
it's above it. FPL is
fantasy sports.
Fake soccer.
Fantasy sports greater than AFCON Cup.
The most important sporting event on that continent.
big continent. Yeah.
But
go ahead, Phil. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. I think I agree with you, David. That's kind of probably the direction I'm going to go in. And even though, yes, people get that second wild card 2 or 3 weeks later, it still gives you basically a free reset. And if you get it right, it's going to allow you to maybe sit on that wild card until the perfect time. So I think there is a good strategy there where maybe don't go to the Salahs or Marmouches or the AFCON players. You're going to get a slight advantage.
Yeah,
if you time it right, if you pick the right guys. So
I guess you're right. I guess if people use their second wild card in like we get it in game week 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
And you can sit on it.
Maybe the people that want to get Salah and Bumo, Marmouche, or guys like that back in their team use it quicker. Mm-hmm. So you could sit on it, save it for like the double game weeks whenever those come later in the season. So perhaps that's the only like positive and way to spin this.
Let me put this in context for people. I was reading a BBC article. Only 49 players could possibly feature in the tournament. 49 EPL players. That's the possible amount that could. It probably won't be that many. But here's my problem is it feels like they did way too much for such a little thing. And what I mean by that is the only big names you can really think of that would play in this tournament are Salah, Wissa, and Bumo. And if you consider Marmouche a big name, if he is with the Egyptian team.
I do.
Okay, so let's say that's 4. So there's 4 big names. After that, you're looking at guys like Sarr, Nadai, Utara, Nicholas Jackson. But again, these are guys that you have in and out of your team all year. I don't think those are mainstays in anyone's team. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about 4 guys, and you can get a possible 5 transfers to cover 4 guys. And that's assuming you have Salah, Wissa, and Bumo and Marmouche all on your roster at one time. To me, it just doesn't make sense why they gave so many. Because you're probably not going to have 5 African Cup players on your roster at one time.
Like with Salah, it basically eats up 2 transfers.
Yeah,
to be able to get him in.
I understand,
but I agree to your point. I think if they'd added 1 extra transfer,
even 3, I'll take 3.
But even just 1, it makes sense. Like, here's a little bone. We know this is kind of in the middle of everything. We want you to get a little something out of it. That would make sense. 5 is just ridiculous.
The other problem is it's not just 5. Go ahead.
So do you think? And this just popped in my brain. Do you think they're not trying to bait people into like not being concerned about it, but like how I was talking of not having as many of those African guys on your team. Like, are they trying to bait people and so they kind of like punish themselves later? If it's like, oh, well, I can have Salah Mbumo, Ait Nori, and Nico Jackson and Wisa on my team.
I don't think so.
And I can just wild card 3 weeks later and get them all back. Like, do you think they're trying to like tempt people into?
No, I just think they're trying to. I think that'll happen, but I just think the game is trying to be as welcoming as possible. They're trying to bring as many people into the fold as possible, so they're making the game as simple and easy to understand and play as possible. Fair enough, I get it. They want to grow it, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. What they're doing, I just think the way they did it to have 5, because you have to think it's not just 5, because now you can spend all 3 of your or however many free transfers you have leading up to that week. You can just spend them without any worry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you get a free transfer every week. Spend it this is the strategy. Spend it every single week leading up and get the maximum amount of free ones you can get. So you're talking more than 5, really. You're talking, I guess 10 technically, because you get the max number at game week 16. So you can get 10 transfers essentially. So I just think it's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Sure.
I think it would have been cool, since they're giving us 2 of every chip, if they just wouldn't have given us a second wild card.
That would have been smart.
Kind of functions as a second wild card.
They might do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
what we've learned is they try things and then they take them away. The ass man chip.
I was just going to say
very
that.
short.
Like the ass man chip.
So did I, but it had a very short stint in the game. It's gone now. They tried it.
We played it. We played it well.
We played it well.
We played it so
Mr.
gosh
Glass
darn
now.
well. So gosh.
The glass man.
The glass man chip. We miss you, baby.
All right. So just to wrap that up, I think the strategy, we talked about it. Make sure you're spending your free transfers leading up to game week 16. Get the maximum amount. And then to Dave's point, think about what you're going to do with that wild card as you're making those changes, because it's coming a couple weeks later. That's the strategy. However you want to utilize that, do it as you may. There's, like we said, there's 4 right now at the moment. There's 4 guys to really consider here. Maybe guys like, Ndai and Sar and some of the other guys step up and they're really good players throughout the season. But right now there's 4 guys that are in question. So think about those guys as game week 16 is coming up.
I think there's 5 big ones. I think you throw Ait Nori in there too. He's going to be pretty highly owned. But regardless, your point is correct.
Fair enough.
I think as we get closer to game week 16, we get a few weeks away, we should do like a more specific strategy episode on that.
Absolutely.
Just until, if you're sitting there if you've saved a couple transfers to that point, if you haven't, like what's the best way to proceed? But anyway.
We'll definitely drop a
AFCON
strategy video. We'll also put something in the Patreon. We'll be covering that since it's so new. I'm sure people are interested in, what we're kind of thinking or what anyone's thinking, not just us, but in general. All right, on to the biggest.
This is a fun one.
The rest of those changes were, they're going to affect the game in small ways. This is a this is a total shift, I think, in a lot of the way you think about this game strategy. I know Dave, the numbers guy, is pumped for this. So I'm going to just describe exactly what the change is before we get into it. Going forward, defenders will get points for blocks, for tackles, for interceptions, for clearances. Recoveries will only be included for midfielders and forwards. Okay, so defenders don't get any points for those recoveries. So those are considered defensive contributions. 10 of those in a game for a defender is 2 points. 12 of those in a game for a midfielder or forward, 2 points. So the reason it's more is because they have that recovery piece added to it. So it takes 2 more to get them that 2 points. It caps at 2 points. You cannot have more than 2 points in one game. All right?
Sadness.
So yeah, that's it. So blocks, tackles, interceptions, clearances for defenders, recoveries as well for midfielders and forwards. 10 defensive contributions for defenders gets you 2 points. 12 for midfield and forward gets you 2 points. Caps at 2. That's how it's going to work. I've talked a lot. Which one of you wants to start talking about this topic? I don't even know where to start. I mean, it's just such a it's a game changer.
Dave can start since he didn't talk much last week. He's a little quiet.
Cinco Dave.
So go for it.
Dave.
Tell me about the defensive cons.
I will.
I like that, defensive cons.
But I think it's going to be a lot of effects for like which guys are relevant, because last year it's mostly fullbacks and center backs that you felt like you were either just you were playing center backs for the clean sheet, or if maybe they get a goal off a set piece like the Arsenal guys. So I think it introduces a lot of players that are very relevant in real life that weren't really super relevant last year. Like I know the Premier League website put out that list of the top 10 defenders who would have gotten the most defensive contribution points. Like James Tarkowski was number 1 on that list. He wasn't really somebody you were using last year, but if this was in place last year, he definitely would have been somebody you were using.
Yeah, he would have jumped really high in those rankings.
So if you look at the total defensive contribution points from last year, and just like go down the list, they are all center backs. Like the first 13 or 14 guys are all center backs. Murillo from Nottingham Forest is in there. Nathan Collins is in there. LaCroix from Crystal Palace. Dean Huijsen, even though you can't use him this year. So I think it opens up an opportunity to like diversify and save some money with who you pick at defender. That's at least how I'm going to approach it. I don't know exactly. I haven't picked my team for sure yet, but in my head, I think like I want a couple of, attacking defenders like last year, like a Danny Munoz or an Ait Nori or an Anthony Robinson, and then mix that with maybe 2 guys that are going to get those defensive contribution points and who are theoretically going to be a little cheaper. Like Nathan Collins is somebody I have my eye on from Brentford, because he was 3rd amongst defenders in defensive contribution points. So I think that's where my head's at the moment. I want to dig into it some more, but I think it definitely makes a lot more guys relevant.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to think about. Go ahead, Phil.
I love this rule because we talked about it a lot last year. It almost felt silly that the only way defenders can make a difference is if they got a clean sheet.
Right.
And we know harder to do than you think.
Yeah, and a goal is very, very, very rare. An assist, obviously, for wingbacks is more common, but a clean sheet is also very, very rare. And Arsenal's the perfect example, the best defensive team, but they probably didn't get as many clean sheets as how good they defensively were.
Exactly.
It didn't reflect.
No.
So I think it's really, really interesting, and it's kind of doubling down on what you said, Dave, that now you can go for like even a Van de Ven on Tottenham. He's going to get a lot of deflections as a tall center back. All of a sudden, if he plays the 90 minutes, he gets the 2 extra points. Yes, there's a yellow card risk, but he could end up with 4 points. And if you had a 4.5 million defender getting you 4 points, you're pretty happy with that outcome.
You take that.
So all of a sudden, all these guys, again, to your point, Dave, become very, very interesting options. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see how it's going to play out. And I do think there's going to be a lot of cheaper defensive options that are going to be viable. And I think it's going to balance out how expensive some of the midfielders are. So I think there's a really interesting balance there to find the key guys and guys that can make a difference at a cheap price.
Yeah, I obviously agree with all those sentiments. I think it's, something that I'm thinking about is like it doesn't mean go out and find the best defensive contribution guy you can and put him in your starting lineup. Like, don't think about it that way. I think the way to think about it is, okay, now you have an opportunity to find a very cheap value player, and maybe even if they sit on your bench, like that's fine, but you can now find those guys that maybe are under the 6 million range, who are going to benefit from this. Dave, you said Tarkowski, like, let's say all things were equal, of course, like everyone's going to get a benefit from this, but all things equal last season, he would have went from 26th ranked to 2nd amongst defender in points at 4.7 million. Like, assuming no one else got these points, like he would have jumped that high. I understand like other people will get the points, but that's a massive jump, right? He would have been 2nd. So the point is there, like, you can see the value this is going to bring. And I know Caicedo's kind of the talk right now. That's the guy everyone's really talking about. He already is 10% owned.
Who, Moise Caicedo?
Yeah, he already 3 weeks out from the season, he's about 10% owned. That would never happen otherwise.
I just don't see the value in midfielders, at least yet, because unless you go for someone that's more of a box to box, like Reindeer's on City, who's 5.5 million, really cheap. I just feel like the pure defensive mids like Caicedo, yellow cards are going to offset that a lot, especially with how they play. So you're probably looking at one.
How many yellow cards did he have last year? I'm curious. Can you?
Have
it? Take a second and look it up, because he had 44. He would have had 44 points, but now I am curious. Take those yellow cards into account. How much would he have really had? If you add the yellow card negatives on top of the 44, I think that's a fair point. I didn't even think about that.
It looks like
because players like him do get a lot of yellows. They are,
11.
So what's that? -2 for a yellow?
Is it -2 or 1? I thought it was -1. Am I crazy?
Isn't it 2?
I think it's 2.
I think it's 2.
What's a red?
-1,000.
No.
Okay, look that up too while we keep talking.
I think to Phil's point, like I think a lot of those got like Caicedo is. I mean, he's far and away had the most contributions of midfielder last year.
It's a 1 point deduction.
So he'd have lost 11 points. He still would have had 33 plus. Right?
Yeah.
But I get your point.
Caicedo, I would bet he's going to be fairly highly owned. But like the guys that come after him, Ghana, Elliot Anderson, Norgard, who knows how much he'll play, Elliot Cook, Ryan Gravenberch, Baleba from Brighton. Like I feel it's kind of like a low ceiling proposition with those guys until the 9th guy on the list. So 9th in defensive contributions last year.
Yeah.
He's kind of the first non-defensive midfielder on the list.
Okay.
Bruno Fernandes. He was second amongst all midfielders in recoveries last year.
Can I throw another name at you?
No.
Please?
Sure.
Okay. What about Rodri when he comes back?
He's interesting because he does have that
he's not going to score goals as much. He'll get assists.
Yeah.
But he plays a pretty interesting position for this rule. I wonder if he's going to be a guy. We don't know because last season he didn't play. I wonder what he's going to provide.
I'm really glad you said that.
I'm so happy I said that.
Because Man City's going to have the ball a lot.
Yup.
So it's hard to make tackles and
you
interceptions.
Took my next point. That's funny.
You have the ball. And I think if you look at the list of guys that were up there in defensive contributions last year, like Ryan Gravenberch is up there, but there's a lot of dudes from teams that don't have the ball a lot.
But what would they consider it if, let's say, a team kicks the ball out and Rodri's the one who brings it down? Because he does sit back a bit and he pinches.
Talking about in the recoveries?
Yeah, in the recoveries.
The recoveries, the problem is we still don't. They gave us a video to show us like what it looks like. It still seems like someone's going to go through each game and say, that's a recovery, that's not a recovery. I don't know fully what recoveries mean yet.
Because with Rodri sitting in, any team that where City's like putting them in their box and they're just like booting the ball out.
And then he gets it.
He's going to get it and pass it off. So like then it could be a good opportunity.
Those are two great points, because I was going to make your point where like a guy like Konate, like I wouldn't think of him, I want him for the defensive contributions. Liverpool's going to have the ball the entire game against teams like Wolves. Take it to the flip side. If Wolves is booting the ball out 24/7 and Konate's standing in the middle, like is that considered a recovery if he brings the ball down? Fair points. These are all fair points. So, I mean, yeah.
I think Chelsea too, like Colwell.
I do still think you probably would want the guys that are having the ball, whose teams have the ball less. But to that point, a team that has the ball, you could see some benefit from it. So that's actually going to be very interesting to see. I didn't think about that.
The last thing I'll say, and the reason why I said I was glad, like if you look at Arsenal center backs, William Saliba was 34th in defensive contribution points last year, and the first City defender, Guardiola, fullback. I don't even know where the first City center back is on this list. Anyway, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much right now.
We will at some point. Maybe not today. But
for me, the way I'm looking at it is like somebody like Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, he tends to get some bookings. For me, it kind of raises the floor for guys like that.
Yeah.
Because he got what? Let me look at it. He averaged 10.5 defensive contributions per 90 minutes last year. Good numbers for people like Semenyo and Mbumo, to where they could have, maybe 10 games where they get this bonus. It raises the floor for guys like that. There was one other guy that I saw in here that I wanted to mention.
I got a guy for you too. You find that guy. I got a guy for you, Dave.
Go ahead. I forget who it was.
It's just for you. It's just for your Manchester United.
Oh, it was
boys.
Enzo Fernandez, but keep going.
I will keep going. So, we just talked about recovery points. I'm still not quite sure exactly what all is going to consider. So take that out of the equation. Let's talk about a defender that Dave loves, Mazraoui. A guy that, did anyone talk about him last season? No, absolutely not. Because why would you talk about him last season? He finished 41st amongst defenders with.
He had a moment at the start of the year, but yeah,
he finished 41st amongst defenders with 88 points, Dave.
All right, chill.
That's not very good. That's my point, Dave. All right. Well, if you look at his games, each individual game last season, he would have qualified for the 2 points 12 times, which would have been 24 extra points. That would have put him at 112, and he would have finished 22nd amongst defenders. I understand that's still not mind-boggling, but 22nd amongst defenders for a cheap player is a guy now that you can say, maybe I leave him on my bench. That's an interesting thought process. It's just a guy that I picked out. I mean, he was $5 million, right? Certainly someone I can see value in at this point. A guy that no one saw value in last year now can have some value.
Yeah.
And that's the story here, right? The value for these terrible players on terrible teams like Mazraoui.
Yeah.
I
Nothing.
I think the I think anyone on the defensive line, yes, there's going to be like players you do a double look at because of these extra points. I think that's where most of the points are going to come from. I don't think you change your strategy for midfielder selections.
I agree.
Outside of maybe 1 to 3 players, and even then it's very dependent on how you're building your team. So again, I think it changes the strategy a lot for the back line, but not as much for the midfielder forward.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we all agree with that. This is going to be very interesting to continue to dig into as the season goes on. We'll be back on this topic, I'm sure.
We'll be back.
I'm sure we'll have segments now, just literally, who are the top defensive contribution players that you want. Like people will have full topics on that.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's as far as we're going to get into it today. Like I said, we'll get into it further another time, but that should suffice for today, I think.
It's a little rundown.
That should suffice.
Get your brain
suffice.
Spinning.
Yeah. Start thinking about it. Think about it before you start picking your teams, All right. With that being said, we are out of here.
Yes, sir.
We will be back same time, same place. Next week, look forward over the weekend. We're going to be releasing our price reaction video. We're going to react to some of the bigger name players and some of the bigger price changes. And then next week, we're going to be doing our first mock draft as a team,
live.
Right? We'll do live mock draft. Live. Well, it's not going to be live for them.
For us.
Yeah. We're going to do it, all three of us, so you can see how we're kind of talking it out with each other and figuring it out. In the future, we'll do individual ones as well. But that's coming next week. Stay tuned for that. Find us on our socials. X, Instagram. Listen to us on Spotify. We have a TikTok now. Check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. People like FPL Battleground. Keep it coming, buddy. Keep it coming, buddy. And yeah, I think with that, we're out of here, boys.
All right.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
See you.
Bye.